We usually think of the Mediterranean as a border, Europe to the north, Africa to the south, the Middle East to the east, but for thousands of years the Mediterranean was something completely different. It was a highway, not of asphalt and cars, but of wooden ships, wind and waves, a superhighway of ideas, goods and, without anyone realizing it, DNA. Today a trip from Spain to Morocco requires passports, border checks and international flights. In the ancient world it was just a matter of setting sail in a sturdy boat. The Mediterranean wasn't an obstacle, it was the fastest route from one world to another. A trip that might take weeks by land could take just a few days by sea. From the earliest fishermen to the great empires, this stretch of water connected 3 continents, and every ship that crossed it carried not just goods, but genes. Long before the Phoenicians, Greeks, or Romans, people were already using this sea to move between lands. Archaeological evidence from sites like Sicily, Sardinia, and the Balearic Islands shows that humans were sailing the Mediterranean as far back as 8,000 years ago. They carried obsidian from volcanic islands to distant shores. They traded shells, animal skins, and tools. And with each journey they brought themselves, marrying into new communities, leaving children behind, and blending bloodlines. Modern genetics is now uncovering just how much mixing happened. Studies show that certain genetic markers, like the Y-DNA haplogroup R1b, appear in high numbers in places as far apart as Ireland, Spain, Morocco, and even parts of the Middle East. That's not an accident. It's the legacy of countless crossings, each one leaving a thread in the web of human ancestry. If the Mediterranean was the highway, Iberia, modern Spain and Portugal, was the giant toll booth in the middle. From here, ships could sail north to France and the British Isles or south to Morocco and Algeria. Genetic evidence shows Iberia as a major mixing point, where North African DNA entered Europe, and European DNA flowed south into Africa. One recent study found ancient Iberian remains with genetic signatures linked to both Berber populations and early Celtic groups, proof that this was a crossroads of peoples, not just goods. Around 4,500 years ago, a mysterious culture called the Beaker people spread across Europe and into North Africa. They're named for their distinctive bell-shaped pottery, but their real impact came from their mobility. In just a few centuries, Beaker communities appeared from Ireland to Morocco, bringing with them new technology, metals, and yes, their DNA. When scientists tested Beaker remains from different regions, they found shared genetic markers, evidence of a massive movement of people across the Mediterranean. By 1200 BCE, the Phoenicians had turned the Mediterranean into an interconnected web of trade. From their homeland in modern Lebanon, they built cities and ports all across North Africa, Spain, and even as far as Britain. Every port wasn't just a place for unloading goods, it was a meeting point for cultures, and the Phoenicians were known for integrating with local peoples, further blending the genetic pool. When Rome took over, the Mediterranean became Mare Nostrum, our sea. Under Roman rule, ships moved freely between Spain, Italy, Greece, North Africa, and the Middle East. Soldiers, merchants, and settlers relocated across the empire, often marrying locals and raising families far from home. This is one of the reasons why genetic similarities pop up between regions we think of as completely different today. When we talk about ancient trade, we focus on goods: olive oil, wine grain, textiles, metals. But the most important cargo wasn't stored in jars or crates. It was stored in people. Every sailor, merchant, or settler who started a new life in a foreign land left a living legacy. Children who carried both the DNA of their old home and the new one. Genetic studies of modern populations around the Mediterranean show a clear pattern. Southern European populations carry a noticeable percentage of North African DNA. North African populations, especially Berbers, carry European and even Near Eastern markers. Islands like Sicily, Sardinia, and Malta are genetic mosaics, showing centuries of constant mixing. And these connections aren't just recent. Many stretch back over 3,000 years. It's important to remember, most of this DNA mixing didn't happen through big historical events like invasions. It happened quietly, in fishing villages, at bustling market ports, or in coastal farms where strangers became neighbors, and neighbors became family. The people responsible for shaping this genetic highway weren't kings or generals. They were everyday sailors, traders, farmers, and craftsmen. The Mediterranean DNA highway teaches us two things. Borders are temporary, but connections are permanent. The sea that divides continents today once united them in a constant exchange of people and culture. We are all more mixed than we think. The genes in your body might carry traces of distant lands you never imagined, thanks to an ancestor who once crossed this ancient sea. The Mediterranean wasn't just a body of water, it was a living bridge. It connected green hills to golden deserts, mountain valleys to island shores, and every time someone set sail, they carried more than goods. They carried the future.